Persistent universe. We need more parts. The team is working on expanding the components pipeline and on integrating what we've already developed into the plan for the persistent universe.
We're designing these ships so that you can walk through the inside, basically look at every angle from the outside, have things that pop up, access different components, swap things out. Like usually other games do that for one vehicle in their game and they spend 2 years to take it from start to finish. And we're gonna have hundreds of these and we do them in a matter of months.
Briefly, components are actually the meat and potatoes of the game, essentially. Everyone loves the ships because they're exciting and they look cool, but ultimately our game really is about components, and the ships are just the thing that you put the components on.
For this V0 rollout, a lot of those parts are actually going to be hidden and just invisible because a lot of our ships weren't built with our new standard sizes in place. So it's part of the process where we lock something in, so we'll have to do an update pass. The bigger thing that's helped with this is also going into a lot of our new ships. So as we get the Constellation online, now having these standard sizes and stuff for all the components, we're really making sure that it's like, oh no, everything that you need to interact with on Constellation is going to be tangible, is going to be real.
Let me walk through here. Also, another big thing was we've added a lot of the components to the ship. So eventually, these boxes here will be replaced by actual components, avionics that you'll be able to service and repair and all that stuff.
So you'll have all sorts of access to components down here. So where these big boxes are on the wall, these will be replaced with the actual ship components when they come online. So this is where you'll be going to repair damaged components.
It's got to a point where we're realizing that, again, it's kind of linked to the legacy ship stuff, that a lot of stuff kind of wasn't really kind of resolved at that point, the standard metrics. We've got all that information now, and it's really a case of like, we're kind of going back over these things and the legacy ship and making sure that they work with those new systems.
Gotcha.
And it goes way above that. I mean, that's just the basics. I mean, we've got all the ship components coming in. The ship won't be able to function with these, and these are actually going to be physical things that you can interact with in your ship. If they're not there, the ship will not function. So there's these layers that are coming in that's going to be kind of, for me, it's going to unlock a lot of really cool gameplay.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of our backers. We really couldn't build a game with hundreds of swappable ship components without your support.
And that's all for this week. We will see you
Around the verse.
Components are getting damaged. You're going to have people who are swapping out those, swapping out the damaged components for the new components.
So soon we'll be able to actually do the swapping out and customization.
Soon TM.
We'll be able to do that on the loadout screen. I think in the near future we'll be able to actually do them on the fly.
Yes.
So that'd be great.
We've been actively working on that.
We're going to be, putting a lot of systemic damage in the internal components, and over this next 6 months, and everything's getting componentized and giving health.
I really want to be able to pull components out and put them in and replace them and stuff like that.
So from a ship standpoint, we have them there, and we have them placed. It's something that John Crew prototyped a while ago and showed it working on a Gladius as well as working on a Connie. I want it as soon as possible, honestly.
But just having this first step of, okay, well, right when the ship comes out, it won't all be fully interactive to the point where, okay, now you're physically ripping that cooler out or you're doing the manual repair work, but it's that groundwork for when we get to that point. So it's really cool to see.
We want to make the components of your ship much more meaningful. This whole item 2.0 that we've talked about, there's a whole infrastructure for it, but we've got to finish it off properly for you to really realize and understand and see the benefits of it.
We were told that when Item 2.0 is fully implemented, we will be able to directly access and interact with ship components on our ships.
Those are just hand-placed brushes at the moment. They're not the actual physical components, but this quarter we're going to be replacing those with the actual live working components and then hooking them back up. There was a bit of technical issues we had that meant we couldn't do it before. We're now sort of getting on top of those, and it's not going to be ready for public release in the next quarter. It'll be sometime next year. Something that we have to do on a lot of ships is go back and physicalize where the components are in there, because when we built the ship, we went, yep, there are these components, they need to go in the ship here, there's enough space in the walls, but don't worry about making hatches for them at this point because it may all change. And invariably it does. And now we're at the point where those components aren't changing in size, the amount a ship has isn't changing very much. We can go, right, now's the time to go back, take that generic wall panel you made and make a hatch in there for a cooler component. And that would be an improvement rather than a rework.
For smaller ships, you access them from the outside generally. They're either going to be behind, they're always going to be behind panels that open up. We're doing some development at the moment to decide the best way of doing that. Obviously, if we start cutting up all our ships and putting dozens of panels on the outside, that just blows the cost of them. So we're looking at ways that we can not do that, but still have that gameplay without having to have artists cut holes in geometry and you get components out of it. We're talking with the graphics guys, we've got some interesting things we're going to try to do.
So this quarter, one of the vehicle teams actually did the preliminary work to be able to place actual items inside the object containers, which can then connect to the vehicles, which gives us the ability to put them in place, and then down the line gives us the ability to shoot them from the outside, do all the physical damage to them.
In all the ships, we don't have the physicalized components in there. And so that's one of the major factors that we're going in and doing right now. Obviously, with our catalog of ships, that takes a while.
Some ships, such as the Carrack, actually, when you open some of the hatches, they do have items in there. Those aren't brushes. They're the actual items attached to your ship. But because of various limitations that I'll get onto in a second, those are actually attached to the exterior of the vehicle, because that's just how all our systems work currently. So whilst they're inside the ship, they're actually outside the ship. And when you're inside the ship, you can't interact with anything outside the ship and vice versa. So we need to solve that. So scheduled for next quarter, the vehicle tech team are going to be working on a way to place those items physically inside the object containers of the ships, and then they will all automatically link up to all the external systems we need.
We mentioned new gold standard work on the tried and true Aegis Saber, and you can see here that process beginning with the cutting in of panels for the various ship components. Now we'll be following along with the further interior and exterior developments throughout the quarter.
You know, if you look at what we've done with the Gladius recently and adding in all the kind of the ship component panels and the access panels, that's all work that we've kind of got marked on to do for our other ships, but that all impacts cost. So what we need to do is, we don't want to just be piling in feature work and then suddenly being at a point where we've completely tanked the performance.
We are looking in the very near future to start going through some of our ships. We're looking at going back to the older ships and updating those. It's obviously a lot of work there. So it's a balancing act between updating the older ones and delivering newer ones. When we get to the Constellation, a big thing for it will be putting the components in. That people will see there are component bays in there already. They were done a long time ago. Components have changed in how they are used, the quantities, even some of the sizes of them, which shows you how old it is.
Will there be a lot of work involved getting the older ships up to standard in terms of newer design practices and upcoming tech, i.e. relay cabinets, airlocks, bulkheads, etc., or have they been designed in such a way to easily add these things with minimal alterations?
We thought we would need one item of a certain size, so that's the item we accounted for. Now that feature is starting to be developed, and design documents are being written, and people are starting to actually develop and play test and see what it's like. We realized that actually it wasn't going to be particularly fun. So we want to take the power plants from the back and move them to the front, because we want to add a bit more kind of excitement into the gameplay. Then that, if there's not room for it, it means that, well, we need to extend the exterior of the ship. And if that exterior of the ship needs extending, it means it might bump up a size class. And if that ship is supposed to fit in another ship's hangar, then it no longer fits in there.
And then, in preparation of one of the biggest Life in the Verse changes coming sometime next year, The Hammerhead just had a sprint retrofitting it with internal power relays, a necessary component of the resource management system that is at the center of everything from engineering gameplay, life support, increased time to kill, on-site repair, and the foundational basis for true multi-crew gameplay. Now there's still quite a journey ahead for resource management, but it's exciting to see the work beginning to get integrated into the persistent universe proper.